Call the absent members.
De Leon. Lowenthal. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Rubio. Rubio, aye.
Call the absent members.
De Leon.
Ayes 39, no 0. The Assembly amendments are concurred with. Senator Hernandez.
Under
What purpose do you rise?
Under motions and resolutions, at the request of the author, I'd like to move AB 1083 Monning to the inactive file.
Without objection?
That's AB 1083 Monning to the inactive file.
AB 1083 to the inactive file.
1083.
Item 109.
You want the file number? Or?
That's fine. Thank you, Senator Hernandez. Okay, members, moving right along, item 60. Item 59. Okay, item 60, Senator Leno.
Would you like me to get a seating chart up here with the members? Huh? It's been on the floor here.
Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 850 by Senator Leno, enacting the medical records.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, this bill requires electronic health record systems to automatically record and preserve changes or deletions made to electronically stored medical information. The amendments made on the Assembly side removed a provision requiring that changes made to a record be included in the permanent medical record, and also removed a provision requiring that changes be accessible upon request of a patient. As a result, there is no known opposition. We have strong bipartisan support. Ask for your aye vote on concurrence.
Any debate or discussion, members? Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No. Berryhill. No. Blakesley. No. Calderon. Aye. Canella. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Dutton. Emerson. Dutton, no. Emerson. Evans. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. No. Leno. Aye. Tedlew. Aye. Carolou. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Runner. No. Simidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. No. Vargas. Walters. No. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee, aye.
Call the absent members.
DeSaulnier. Emerson. Hancock. Aye. Rubio. Vargas.
Call the absent members.
Emerson, aye. DeSaulnier. Rubio. Vargas.
Ayes 23, noes 14. Senator Leno places the matter on call. Okay, members, item 60. Senator Pavley? Senator 61. Senator Pavley? Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 860 by the Committee on Natural Resources and Water, enacting to tidelands and submerged lands.
Yes, thank you very much. Members, this is a Senate Natural Resources and Water Omnibus Bill. It clarifies the status of minerals and mineral rights under various public land management strategies. The Assembly amendments simply ensure there's a continuum in the management of the trust lands if the granted agency is dissolved. I urge your aye vote.
Any debate or discussion? Any objection with using the previous unanimous roll call? Objection?
No, it's good. It's good.
Oh, is it good? Okay. Ayes 40, no 0. The Assembly amendments are concurred with. Item 62, Senator Yee. At his desk. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 869 by Senator Yee, enacting to automotive repair dealers.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I know the hour's late, and I'll be very short. This requires that airbags, as part of the automobile inflatable restraint system, be restored to its original operating condition if that is part of a written estimate of repair. Without urgent, I vote.
Senator LaMalfa.
A question of the author.
Without objection.
Senator D, was the Assembly receptive to my previous idea of having an exemption for recycling airbags by using rice in them so that would pop and become a giant rice cake inside the cab of the vehicle and thereby preserving the safety of the driver? Was that amendment?
You know, there has been some suggestion that maybe you put the rice and some other ingredients in that airbag container, and maybe out of that you can get Korean rice cake. But I don't think that went over too well.
Maybe
yeah, that's
maybe
right.
A mobile stir fry next year. I ask your I vote.
All right, thank you.
Any further recipes? I mean discussion. Any further discussion? Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. I. Anderson. I. Berryhill. I. Blakesley. I. Calderon. I. Canella. Corbett. I. Correa. I. De Leon. I. DeSaulnier. I. Dutton. I. Emerson. I. Evans. I. Fuller. I. Gaines. I. Hancock. Harmon. I. Hernandez. I. Huff. I. Kehoe. LaMalfa. I. Leno. I. Ted Lieu. I. Carol Lieu. I. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. I. Lowenthal. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price.
Aye.
I. Rubio. I. Runner. I. Semidian. I. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Steinberg. I. Vargas. I. Walters. I. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. I. Yee. Yee. I. Canella. I. Kehoe. I. Hancock. I.
Ayes 40, no 0. Assembly amendments are concurred with. Senator Wolk, what purpose do you rise?
I'd like you to move AB 710, file item 80, to the inactive file.
Without objection, so ordered. Senator Padilla.
Item 63.
Item 63, Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 879 by Senator Padilla, an act relating to gas corporations.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Colleagues, this bill is one of 5 bills that were introduced by various legislators in response to the tragedy of San Bruno last fall, bills that seek to improve gas pipeline safety in the state of California. This bill, SB 879, provides increased transparency in the PUC rate-making proceedings concerning the funding of repair, maintenance, and replacement of natural gas pipelines, making sure that funds are segregated into what is known as a balancing account, which would prohibit the utility in question from shifting funds to other purposes without commission approval. A clear, concerning dynamic that came as a result of hearings the Senate Energy Committee had post the San Bruno incident. Amendments taken in the Assembly increased the fining authority of the Public Utilities Commission from the $20,000 per offense level that's been in place since 1993 to $15,000 per offense. I ask for your support.
Any discussion or debate? Any objection with using the previous unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 40, noes 0. The Assembly amendments are concurred with. Item 64, Senator Runner.
Well, good evening, Mr. President and members. SB 930.
Secretary, please read. Excuse
Senate
me.
Bill 933 by Senator Runner enacting to professions and vocations.
So excited. Good evening, Mr. President and members. SB 933 clarifies the oversight responsibility of the Speech Language Pathology and Hearing Aid Boards that was consolidated in AB 1535 in 2009. The bill was amended to avoid chaptering out issues because it was in conflict with SB 543. I'd ask for your aye vote.
Any debate or discussion, members? Any debate or discussion? Any objection with using the previous unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 40, noes 0. The Assembly amendments are concurred with. Item 65, Senator LaMalfa.
Yes.
Secretary, please read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 17 by Senator LaMalfa relative to Prostate Cancer Awareness Month.
At the risk of us becoming prostrate from having to hear about this issue, and again at this hour, I would just offer that the Assembly offered amendments to reflect the most current diagnoses and rates of death due to prostate cancer. So I would ask for your aye vote for this resolution. Thank you.
Any debate or discussion, members? Any debate or discussion? Any objection with using the previous unanimous roll call? Call the roll. Secretary, call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. No. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. Aye. Evans. Aye. Fuller. Aye. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Harmon. Aye. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. Aye. Leno. Aye. Tedlew. Aye. Carolou. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. Aye. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Call the absent members.
De Leon. Aye. Dutton. Hancock. Aye. Dutton, aye.
Ayes 40, noes 0. The concurrence is approved. Senator Semidian, for what purpose?
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, under motions and resolutions, I would like to ask that the Senate rescind the vote taken on AB 938. Forgive me. Rescind the motion taken on the vote. Third time's a charm, ma'am. I would like to ask that we rescind the vote taken on AB 983. Once again, AB 983.
Do you have a file item, Senator?
I apologize. This was yesterday, Madam President. It passed off our floor yesterday. Apparently, there is a problem with amendments, and we need to ask that, at the author's request, that we rescind the vote here in the Senate.
Is there any objection to rescinding the vote? There's no objection. Ayes 40, noes 0.
Thank you,
Madam President. The vote's rescinded. Senator Steinberg.
I'll take up.
Senator Steinberg, for what purpose?
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to take up appointments, please, confirmations.
Governor's appointments are file item 19, members. File item 19. And this will go there.
Thank you very much, Madam President. This is the confirmation of Madeline Glickfeld as a member of the Los Angeles Regional Water Quality Control Board. Ms. Glickfeld was heard in the Rules Committee and was approved on a 3-2 vote. She's the Assistant Director for Outreach and Strategic Initiatives at the Institute of the Environment of LA. I want to thank Senator Hernandez and Senator De Leon for taking the time to connect, if you will, some of Senator Hernandez's cities and communities with Madeline, Ms. Glickfeld, to ensure that she understands the issues in Senator Hernandez's committee. I think that all has been worked out. Ms. Glickfeld is a very qualified and dedicated community leader, and I'd urge an aye vote on her nomination.
Members, is there debate or discussion on the nominee? Senator De Leon.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to underscore our President Pro Tem. I want to thank you for your leadership. I want to thank Dr. Ed Hernandez also, too, for his strong leadership on this issue, as well as Senator Fran Pavley. We were able to come to a consensus on this issue. I think she's a fine selection as we move forward. And again, let me just underscore my many thanks to Dr. Ed Hernandez, Senator Fran Pavley, and our great leader, Mr. Darrell Steinberg.
Senator Hernandez. Senator, already, are you speaking on this issue? Okay, and then Senator Vargas.
Thank you, Madam President. I also would like to get up to say a few comments about this appointee. At the beginning, I did have some concerns. A lot of my constituents, especially the cities within the San Gabriel Valley, had problems with this particular individual. She did take the time to meet with me and the senator. She answered a lot of my questions. She made me feel comfortable. So at this time, I will be supporting her. However, I feel comfortable that she will address the concerns of my constituency as well as my district. Thank you.
Senator Vargas.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of this appointee. I was able to work with her while she was with Dr. Glickfeld when she was on the Coastal Commission. She was a very thoughtful commissioner and certainly a very passionate person, and at the same time, I think someone that you can work with. So I'm happy to stand and to say that she was a terrific person to work with, and I think that she's going to work very hard on behalf of the state, and I'm happy to support her. Again, I had an experience of working with her for 2 years, and I thought she was very, very thoughtful. Thank you.
Anything further, members? Senator Pavley?
Yes, just briefly, also acknowledging thoughtful discussion we had with Senator De Leon and Senator Hernandez on Ms. Glickfeld's confirmation. Tom Harmon, you would know her too because she was on the commission during some of the Bolsa Chica discussions several years ago, if I may add. She's a very thoughtful person. I've known her over 15 years, one of the smartest people I know, very thoughtful, reads everything, open-minded, hard worker, just the kind of person you would want to serve on the LA Regional Board. And I look forward to working with my fellow senators on future nominations as they come up. I respectfully urge everyone an aye vote for Ms. Glickfeld's confirmation.
Anything further, members? Any further debate? Seeing none, Senator Steinberg, you may close. Senator Steinberg, you may close.
Again, I want to thank the members for their participation in this important confirmation. Well qualified. Please vote yes.
The Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. No. Berryhill. Blakesley. Calderon. Canella. Corbett. I. Correa. I. De Leon. I. DeSaulnier. Dutton. No. Emerson. Evans. I. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. I. Harmon. No. Hernandez. I. Huff. No. Kehoe. I. Lamalfa. Leno. I. Ted Lieu. I. Carol Lieu. I. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. Rubio. I. Runner. No. Semidian. I. Steinberg. I. Strickland. No. Vargas. I. Walters. No. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee. I.
Call the absent members.
Berryhill. No. Blakesley. No. Calderon. I. Canella. No. DeSaulnier. I. Emerson. Lamalfa. No. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. Price. I.
Ayes 24, noes 14. The nominee is confirmed. Senator Steinberg, do you wish to take up what item?
If I may?
Yes. So,
file item 24, Madam President.
File item 24. The Secretary will read the bill.
Senate Bill 612 by Senator Steinberg, an act relating to instructional strategies.
Senator Steinberg.
Thank you very much. This is part of my three-bill education package, and this is the bill that extends the sunset on the California subject matter projects and also includes career education as one of the key training components for teachers who go through this program. The Assembly amendments added a 5-year sunset on the program and addressed a number of fiscal issues. It's sponsored by the UC, and the bill is supported by the LA Chamber of Commerce, the California Chamber of Commerce, the CTA, and the LA Unified School District. Bipartisan support as it left the Senate. I'd urge an aye vote.
Members, is there debate or discussion on file item 24? Any debate? Any comments? Seeing none, the Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist. I. Anderson. Berryhill. Blakesley. Calderon. I. Canella. No. Corbett. I. Correa. De Leon. I. DeSaulnier. I. Dutton. No. Emerson. Evans. I. Fuller. Gaines. Hancock. I. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Huff. Kehoe. I. Lamalfa. No. Leno. I. Ted Lieu. I. Carol Lieu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. Rubio. Runner. Semidian. I. Steinberg. I. Strickland. Vargas. I. Walters. No. Wolk. I. Wright. Wyland. I. Yee. Yee. I. Anderson. No.
Call the absent members.
Blakesley. No. Strickland. No. Berryhill. No. Correa. I. Emerson. Fuller. Gaines. No. Hernandez. I. Huff. I. Price. I. Rubio. Runner. Wright. Wright. I.
Ayes 26, noes 10. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. Senator Semidian, for what purpose?
For purpose of announcement, Madam President.
Without objection.
Madam President, the Senate Environmental Quality Committee will be meeting at 8:30 in room 3191 to take up 2 items, including Senate Bill 292. Senate Bill 292. Madam President, we have had some questions about the committee analysis. The committee analysis has been prepared. We will make an effort to open the committee hearing room early, have copies of the committee analysis available now so that members and interested parties have a chance to take a look at the committee analysis. Members of the committee should already have received copies of the committee analysis. They were first on the distribution list. Once again, the Senate Environmental Quality Committee will meet in room 3191 at 8:30 for the purpose of taking up 2 items.
Thank you, Senator Simitian. Environmental Quality will meet at 8:30 and 3191 for 2 bills. Under motions and resolutions, without objection, pursuant to Joint Rule 33.1 and Joint Rule 61A12, will be suspended to allow AB 900 to hear and report. To allow the AB 900 to hear and report AB 1413.
Oh, did I mess that up?
If you can follow that.
Here's 1040 here, Bernie.
Okay, I got it. Here we go.
All right, here we go. Pursuant to Joint Rule 33.1, Joint Rule 61A12 will be suspended to allow EQ to hear and report AB 900. The request has been approved by rules. Without objection, Joint Rule 62A will be suspended for the EQ committee to hear AB 900 without 4 days' notice in the file. All righty, Senator Simitian.
Madam President, for purposes of announcement, once again, my apologies. Apparently there's some confusion. The EQ committee is tonight at 8:30. It is not tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Once again, the committee is tonight at 8:30 p.m. in room 3191.
Thank you for clarifying. This evening at 8:30 in 3191. This evening. And
You said 8:30.
members, we will move to the supplemental file number 1 while we work our way towards environmental quality hearing. Supplemental file number 1, it should be on your desk for the last couple hours. We will move to file item 127. Senator Vargas, are you prepared to take that up? Then the Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 217 by Senator Vargas, an act relating to mortgage loan originators.
Senator Vargas.
Thank you very much, Madam President and members. SB 217 will update California's SAFE Act law to reflect final SAFE Act regulations recently released by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. The bill will also resolve SAFE Act compliance issues being faced by insurance companies in California. The Senate Banking and Financial Institutions Committee recently heard SB 217 and passed it unanimously. The bill has extensive support and has been unopposed. I would ask for your aye vote.
What am I missing? Senator Lamalfa, are you speaking on this? All righty. Is there any debate or discussion? Seeing none, any objection to a unanimous roll call? All right, then it's ayes 40, noes 0, and the Assembly amendments are concurred in. Senator Woke, for what purpose?
Letter to the Journal, Madam President.
And it has been approved by both sides?
It has indeed been approved by both sides of the aisle. It has to do with Senate Bill 835.
835, the desk will note. Members, we are at file item 128. And members, I believe the rest, if I can have your attention, the rest of the supplemental file are all Assembly bills. I have no floor managers noted on my document. So if you have a bill to take up or manage, let me know. I'm at file item 128 by Mr. Alejo. Senator Rubio, you're taking that up?
I am.
Then the Secretary will read.
Assembly Joint Resolution 15 by Assemblymember Alejo relative to California cut flowers.
Thank you, Madam President and colleagues. It gives me great pleasure to bring you Assembly Joint Resolution 15, which will encourage the United States government to consider California jobs and economic stimulus provided by California's floriculture industry when advancing free trade agreements. California produces some of the finest fresh cut flowers in the world, the most beautiful roses, I may add, in the fine city of Wasco and surrounding. I have the honor of representing that particular district. This is a very important resolution that I would urge you to support. Thank you very much.
Members, is there any debate or discussion on this resolution? Any debate or discussion? Any objection to a unanimous roll call? Seeing no objection, ayes 40, noes 0, and the resolution is passed. We're at file item, Mr. Simitian.
On file item 129.
File item 129, the Secretary will read.
Assembly Bill 340 by Assembly Member Furutani, enacting to public employees' retirement.
Senator Simitian.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, if I could ask for your attention, there's a little bit of a wrinkle on this one. Members, this measure, along with my companion measure, which is currently in the Assembly, SB 857, is designed to establish a conference committee to look at issues surrounding pension reform and to try and craft a fair and meaningful solution to the larger issues. Members may recall that Assemblymember Furutani was working on the issue of pension spiking with respect to so-called 37 Act counties. I had been working on the same issue with respect to CalPERS and CalSTRS. Ultimately, where we ended up was with the two vehicles, my vehicle now being SB 857, being designed to put us into conference to have a larger discussion on pension reform issues. I would respectfully ask for an aye vote with that intention in mind.
Members, is there debate or discussion on file item 129? Any debate? Senator Blakesley.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to applaud the presenter of the bill, but also express my frustration that we're not voting tonight on a comprehensive pension reform bill that would have closed loopholes, addressed abuses, stopped spiking, and moved forward on many of the issues that all of us on both sides of the aisle talked about all year long. And the notion that this is now going off to conference committee, I think, is disappointing. It's worth noting. And I, again, want to applaud the presenter for his hard work all year.
Any further discussion, members? Anything further? Senator Simitian, would you like to close?
Only to say, Madam President, I too wish we had been able to take some action sooner rather than later. I viewed the pension spiking and revolving door double dipping as the low-hanging fruit in this debate and discussion. My only hope is that by delay and by moving into a conference committee, we will in fact take some larger look and hopefully some larger action where appropriate if consensus can be found. Once again, I ask for an aye vote.
Members, is there any objection to... Thank you, Tom. The Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist. Aye. Anderson. Berryhill. No. Blakesley. Calderon. Aye. Canella. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. No. Emerson. No. Evans. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Aye. Huff. No. Kehoe. Aye. LaMalfa. No. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. No. Simitian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. No. Vargas. Aye. Walters. No. Wolk. Wright. Wolk aye. Wright aye. Weiland. No. Yee. Yee aye. Anderson no. Correa aye. Simitian we have as aye. Blakesley. No. Steinberg.
Ayes 24, noes 15. The measure passes. I'm at file item 130 by Mr. Bradford. Is there a floor manager? Senator Padilla is passing on that one. We're at file item 131 by Mr. Huffman. Is there a manager for file item 131, members, on emergency medical care? Senator Lieu, the Secretary will read.
Assembly Bill 1059 by Assemblymember Huffman, enacting to emergency medical care.
Senator Liu.
Thank you, Madam President. Senators, AB 1059 is an important piece of legislation that provides accountability and transparency to the administration of MADI Emergency Medical Services funds collected and distributed at the county level. This bill will require counties to report on the collection and distribution of the MADI EMS funds to ensure every dollar is spent to support the emergency care safety net as required by current law. The MADI fund was created to provide reimbursement to physicians and hospitals for treating uninsured patients receiving emergency care. While the MADI funds only reimburse a small portion of the cost of care, they are nevertheless a critical source of funding, helping to preserve the emergency care safety net. There's no opposition to the bill, and this had bipartisan support while the MADI fund provisions were in the Senate Health Committee Omnibus bill. We start with the question. I vote.
Is there debate or discussion, members? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, is there any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call? There is. We will call the roll. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. I. Anderson. Berryhill. I. Blakesley. Calderon. I. Cannella. I. Corbett. I. Correa. I. De Leon. I. DeSaulnier. I. Dutton. Emerson. Evans. I. Fuller. Gaines. Hancock. Harmon. I. Hernandez. I. Huff. I. Kehoe. I. LaMalfa. Leno. I. Ted Lieu. I. Carol Lieu. I. Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. I. Rubio. I. Runner. I. Semidian. I. Steinberg. Strickland. I. Vargas. I. Walters. I. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Weiland. Yee. Yee, aye. Weiland, aye. Anderson, aye. Emerson, aye.
Mr. Secretary, let's call the absent members.
Gaines, aye. Blakesley, aye. Dutton, Fuller, aye. Hancock, aye. LaMalfa, aye. Steinberg, Dutton, aye.
Ayes 39, noes 0. The bill is passed. Senator Corbett, for what purpose do you rise, Senator?
The next item, file item 132.
File item 132, the Secretary will read.
Assembly Bill 56 by Assemblymember Hill, enacting to gas corporations.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On September 9th, 2010, at 6:15 p.m., a 30-inch natural gas transmission pipeline owned and operated by PG&E ruptured in San Bruno, California. An explosion and fire ensued that killed 8 people, injured dozens more, and destroyed 38 homes. Extensive federal and state hearings have revealed serious flaws in the way California regulates the owners and operators of natural gas pipelines. As a result, AB 56 is one of 5 bills this session, authored by Senators Leno, Senator Yee, Senator Padilla, and myself, and Assemblymember Hill, that impose long overdue standards on utilities on the California Public Utilities Commission to ensure the safety of our state's aging pipeline infrastructure. This bill implements a number of safety-related measures regarding the operation of the state's natural gas pipelines. The author addressed the concerns of Sempra, and they have removed their opposition. AB 556 is a combination of the bills that I have mentioned, and it's a great step towards ensuring that another tragedy like San Bruno is never repeated. I ask for your aye vote.
Members, is there debate or discussion on this item?
39, Zach.
Debate or discussion on this item?
Cannella.
Seeing and hearing none, Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist, aye. Anderson, aye. Berryhill, no. Blakesley, aye. Calderon, aye. Cannella, Corbett, aye. Correa, aye. De Leon, aye. DeSaulnier, aye. Dutton, Emerson, Evans, aye. Fuller, Gaines, aye. Hancock, Harmon, aye. Hernandez, aye. Huff, aye. Kehoe, aye. LaMalfa, aye. Leno, aye. Ted Lieu, Carol Lieu, Lowenthal. I. Negrete McLeod. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. I. Rubio. I. Runner. I. Semidian. I. Steinberg. Strickland. Vargas. I. Walters. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. Yee. Yee, aye. Strickland, aye. Ted Lieu, aye. Wyland, aye. Emerson, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Cannella. Dutton. Fuller. Hancock. Aye. Carol Lieu. Steinberg. Walters.
Ayes 33, noes 1. The bill is passed. Members, that takes us to file item 133. File item 133. Do we have a floor manager on this item? Is there anyone to take up file item 133? If not, file item 134, Senator Strickland. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 306 by Assemblymember Gatto and Acrolein to Energy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, AB 306, which I've co-authored with Senator Pavley, asks the CEC to conduct research on emerging technology, piezoelectric harvesting technology on roadways and railways, and to pilot the technology if the CEC deems the technology is worthy. This bill's entrepreneurial approach to using one of our biggest assets, our roads and railways, to create renewable energy and jobs, saving us money in the long run and helping us reduce our dependence on foreign oil. This bill has received no votes, and I ask for your aye vote. Labor, business, and environmental support on this bill. I respectfully ask your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Senator Kehoe.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the co-authors, I unfortunately have to rise to oppose the bill. Yeah, I think it's well-intentioned, but members, this is not the way to go about this policy. This bill requires the Energy Commission to conduct research on a specific technology that is designed to generate electricity from cars travel on roads. If the initial research is deemed viable, then the Commission is also tied to a pilot program along with Caltrans. Members, the bill bypasses the regular process for CEC research and development and sidesteps our competitive process for research funds. The CEC has already funded this type of technology through its existing research program, so the bill isn't necessary. It sets a bad precedent. We've talked here time and time again about not picking winners and losers when it comes to technology. This is one specific kind of technology which may indeed have merit, and it should be in the pipeline with a lot of others. But this bill jumpstarts all that and puts it ahead of other competitors. The Energy Commission and Caltrans pilot project, should it occur, could be very expensive. As some of the members know, Approps was not able to quantify that. Caltrans could not give us an accurate figure. And finally, it's funded through the public goods charge, which, unless we act by the end of the day tomorrow, will sunset at the end of this year. So, members, it's well-intentioned, but this is not the way we should do our business, and I would ask for a no vote.
Is there further debate or discussion? Is there further debate or discussion? Senator Blakesley, to be followed by Senator Pavley. Senator Blakesley.
President, I'm still thanking you. I, too, express real concerns about the process here. Having reviewed the technology, I find it highly speculative as to whether or not it's ready for this type of work or application or even research by ratepayer dollars. And am very troubled at a time when we're trying to create more accountability in how ratepayer dollars are used for legislation like this to move forward to circumvent a more rigorous peer review process, I think is problematic. So I'd be urging a no vote.
Senator Pavley.
Yes, we've had some interesting discussions through the Transportation Committee and others on this particular technology that's actually being modeled and being used in Israel. I think it has some important applications to California for consideration. It's a variety of sources of funds. There's several listed in the bill that might be used to conduct the research. And I think it's important to look at all different options. I agree with that as we strive to not only clean up our air, but reduce greenhouse gas emissions and, of course, reduce dependence on foreign oil, which have led to way too many lives being lost in Middle East conflicts. I'm going to be supporting this bill tonight and urge the CEC, working in cooperation, of course, with Caltrans, to see if this is viable right here in California. Part of the future. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Is there further debate or discussion? Senator Fuller.
I rise in opposition to this bill for the main reason is that if we're going to do the CEC's job, then I don't know why we have a CEC. There is, the bill puts this particular specific industry in line ahead of others, authorizes money without all the normal steps that it normally goes through. I personally have looked at this and feel that it's not the best use of our money for this process. It might be the best use of the technology down the road, but it needs to go through the vetting process with the experts, with the process we've set up. And this has been explored before, and now the legislature's asking to bring it forward, so I'm in opposition. Thank you.
Is there further debate or discussion? Senator Wright.
When we heard this bill in the Energy Committee, I didn't vote for it, but I think the concerns that other people have raised, just because it seems like a good idea, maybe we shouldn't lead with our wallets in California. We just tend to throw money at stuff and hope that it works. If you look at some of the things that the Energy Commission has funded, we funded beaming electricity back to California from a satellite. That didn't work. We funded building plants in California that were going to provide all these startup jobs. That didn't work. The public goods charge, members, as the person who actually authored the bill that's due to expire this year, the public goods charge was intended as a means
Senator
of...
Wright, forgive me. One moment, please. We need quiet in the chambers, if we could, please, members. Members. One moment, Senator Wright. Please proceed, sir. Thank you.
That public goods charge was intended to be a method of reducing the ratepayers' bill. It was never intended to be a piggy bank for the Energy Commission or anybody else to have a slush fund to just dole out to their friends. There's nothing in this that would reduce anybody's electric bill. There's nothing in this that would reduce the air quality or anything else. Now, again, I understand that often what you're talking about is pure research. If we're going to the pure research mode, as was described earlier, you really want to have it vetted so that we're just not squandering money on something that has no chance of ever coming into fruition. I would ask for a no vote. I didn't vote for it in committee, but I'd ask for a no vote because this is something that the Energy Commission can already do. If this company that's interested in this technology believes that it's practical to do, they can apply to the Energy Commission just like all the other companies that apply to the Energy Commission. And if they're successful in convincing them through that vetting process, then they'd be eligible for a grant. We should not specify in statute that one particular technology, the likes of which none of us have ever seen, by the way. It exists, I think, now in one country in a trial mode. I believe that that's Israel. They're attempting to make it practical. But if we're now going to begin dictating what the peer program is, it begs the question, why do we need the peer program, and why don't we assume that responsibility? Short answer is we're not qualified to do that anyway. I think that this company should go get in line at the Energy Commission, and hopefully they'll make an evaluation and make a determination as to whether or not this merits our peer dollars. Frankly, I think our peer program is in trouble because the Energy Commission has not done a stellar job of managing the dollars that we've already given them. So I would ask for a no vote on this measure as well.
Is there further debate or discussion? Senator Ted Lieu.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question for the floor jockey.
Senator Strickland, are you prepared to accept a question from Senator Lieu? Senator Lieu, please ask your question.
Having heard what Senators Kehoe and Senator Wright have said, I have a question. Has the Energy Commission said they're not going to look at this? Why is it that we're picking this one technology and laying it on the Commission? I'm just curious what the policy rationale is.
Well, my understanding, and I believe the main author is over here in the back, but this is a technology that's actually being used. When he went on his trip to Israel, it was being used in Israel. It's going through the Tokyo subways. It's already been signed by the European Union. It's a technology that works around the world. So my belief, talking to the principal author on this, is if it's working everywhere else in the world, why not bring it to California and take those ideas to California and create jobs and, again, reduce our dependence on foreign oil. So that's where the idea came from. It came from the author's trip to Israel, and he really liked this idea and thought it would be good for California.
Thank you. I greatly respect the author, but none of us on this floor have any idea what this is, right? That's why we have a commission. That's why we have experts. That's why we got researchers and PhDs. And we're picking one technology. It could be amazing, groundbreaking, could shake the world, or it could completely fall flat on its face. We are not in a position to decide. I don't understand why we're jamming this one particular technology through and mandating that this commission look at it. I'm going to vote no. Respect the request, a no vote.
Is there any additional debate or discussion? Further debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Senator Strickland, you may close.
Thank you, members. Thanks for the lively discussion. Look, I understand a lot of members concerned about process, but don't let process get in the way of creating jobs. I think it's important for us to look at proven technology around the world that works in the ways of renewable energy. Here's a technology that works in Tokyo, it works in Israel, works for the European Union, and if we want to get off of our dependence on foreign oil, and we want to create jobs, this is a measure that's supported by labor, business, environmental support. And members, let me just close with this. There's not too many bills where I co-author with Senator Pavley. I'm asking you, everybody always asks for bipartisanship. I'm asking you for support on this bill in the era of bipartisanship. So ask your aye vote.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Alquist. Anderson. Aye. Berryhill. Aye. Blakesley. No. Calderon. Aye. Canella. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. Desaulniers. Dutton. Emerson. Evans. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Huff. No. Kehoe. No. LaMalfa. Leno. Aye. Ted Lieu. No. Carol Lieu. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. No. Padilla. Pavley. Aye. Price. Rubio. Runner. Semidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Vargas. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. No. Wyland. Aye. Yee. Yee. Aye.
Please call the absent members.
Alquist. Canella. Aye. De Leon. Aye. Desaulniers. Dutton. Emerson. Hernandez. LaMalfa. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Padilla. Price. Rubio. Runner. Runner. Aye. Semidian.
Aye.
Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Desaulniers. Aye.
Ayes 25, noes 8. Senator Strickland moves a call. Members, our next item is file item 135. Senator Vargas, I believe you are the floor manager on this item, sir. Are you prepared to take the item up? Then we'll ask the Secretary to please read.
Assembly Bill.
Senator Kehoe to come back to the dais, please.
Assembly Bill 750 by Assembly Member Hueso, enacting to finance.
Thank you, Mr. President and members, for allowing me to present AB 750, which establishes a task force to explore the viability of establishing a state bank. It is a feasibility study to look at different banking models and determine which, if any, would best serve the needs of California. The task force would be required to consider how a state bank could strengthen the economic and community development, provide financial stability to businesses in our state, and provide for excess earnings of the trust to be used to supplement general fund purposes. The task force shall report findings and recommendations back to the legislature by December the 1st, 2012. The author has been working closely with the Treasurer's Office, the Economic Development Bank, the Governor's Office, and their stakeholders to ensure that the study is comprehensive and inclusive enough to provide us with a clear answer as to whether or not this idea is indeed viable. I believe that AB 750 is an important step in the process of rebuilding California's economy and addressing our current financial and community development challenges. I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Later discussion on the measure. Senator LaMalfa. We're on Senator LaMalfa.
Thank you. I'm just curious how the creation of a bank by the state of California with the billions of dollars of budget problem and looking at the D.C. level of trillions of dollars being upside down, how this is going to be sensible for the state to be in charge of anything else. I'd ask your no vote.
Members, is there further debate or discussion? Senator Correa.
A question of the floor manager.
Senator Vargas, will you take a question from Senator Correa?
I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, how would you envision a state bank to operate? How would you distinguish that from a regular commercial bank? I know the goal here is to facilitate additional loans, but are we looking at a different type of a risk model to assess risk in a different way, different factors? Are you looking at another insurance pool to insure some of those loans? Or are we looking at a new source of funding to make these loans?
Thank you for the question. To the President, if I may, there exists already a state bank. It's the Bank of North Dakota. It's the only state bank in existence. However, it has done very well for its state. It has, in fact, returned 26% in dividends. It, of course, is a much smaller state, and it has worked well there. My understanding is that the task force would look not only at the Bank of North Dakota to see how it has worked for its state, but also to take a look at different needs throughout the state. So I don't think it would be limited to the existing model that exists, again, in North Dakota. Also, there are 13 other states that are taking a look at this same potential, and that is Maine, Oregon, Illinois, Washington, Florida, and Rhode Island, among others. So again, I think that they would look at the already established bank as well as these other opportunities.
On my own time, I don't say that California is not North Dakota, but I think given that this is a study bill, I'll support it today, but I think we have to be very cautious in terms of putting the good faith and credit of the state of California behind a commercial venture.
Senator Gaines, for what purpose?
Yes, I rise in opposition to this bill, unless, of course, we'd have the ability to print our own money and then we could inflate the economy. But I want to make sure that Milton Friedman was the chairman of the board. But I'm going to have to not support this legislation this evening. I urge a no vote.
Members, any further debate? Any further debate on this? Senator Vargas, would you care to close?
Thank you very much, Madam President. I will again note that this is simply the establishment of a task force. It is not the creation of a bank. California's money obviously won't be printed or anything like that. This is simply the establishment of a task force. I think it's a good bill. Deserves your aye vote.
Members, the debate having concluded, the Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist, Anderson, no. Berryhill, no. Blakesley, no. Calderon, aye. Cannella, no. Corbett, aye. Correa, aye. De Leon, aye. DeSaulnier, aye. Dutton, Emerson, no. Evans, aye. Fuller, no. Gaines, no. Hancock, aye. Harmon, no. Hernandez, aye. Huff, no. Kehoe,
aye.
Aye. LaMalfa, no. Leno, aye. Ted Lieu, aye. Carol Lieu, aye. Lowenthal, I. Negrete McLeod. I. Padilla. I. Pavley. I. Price. I. Rubio. Runner. No. Semidian. Steinberg. Strickland. No. Vargas. I. Walters. No. Wolk. I. Wright. I. Wyland. No. Yee. Yee, aye. Rubio, aye. Dutton, no.
Call the absent members.
Alquist. Smidian. Steinberg.
That is 22 ayes, noes are 15, and the measure passes. Senator Leno, you're prepared to take up file item 133. 133. The Secretary will read.
Assembly Bill 172 by Assemblymember Ng enacting state agencies.
Senator Leno.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, this is a good government bill. It will require that public contracts of more than $5,000, as well as audits and of State Departments and agencies, be put on a website so the public can see exactly how their dollars are being spent. California has 13,600 personal service and consulting contracts worth over $34.7 billion, and there's no way for taxpayers to be able to access that information and to see how their money is being spent. 36 states already allow for public online access to tracking state expenditures. California's transparency compares poorly and has received a D grade from both the U.S. Public Interest Research Group and also the California Public Interest Research Group. So if you support open and transparent government and you're concerned about waste, fraud, and abuse, please join me in voting aye.
Members, is there debate or discussion on this item? Debate or discussion? Any debate? Seeing none, the Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist. Anderson. Berryhill. No. Blakesley. Calderon. Aye. Canella. No. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. De Leon. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. Dutton. Emerson. No. Evans. Aye. Fuller. No. Gaines. No. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. No. Hernandez. Huff. No. Kehoe.
Kehoe, aye. Kehoe, aye.
Aye. Lamalfa. No. Leno. Ted Lieu. Aye. Carol Lieu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Price. Aye. Rubio. Aye. Runner. No. Semidian. Aye. Steinberg. Strickland. No. Steinberg, aye. Strickland, no. Vargas. Aye. Walters. No. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Yee, aye. Anderson, no.
Call the absent members.
Alquist. Blakesley. Aye. Dutton. Hernandez. Aye. Leno. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Wyland. Wyland, aye.
That is ayes 26, noes 12. The measure is on call. On call, members for Senator Alquist. Members, under motions and resolutions, at this time, regular session will stand in recess, and there will be, we'll go into the first extraordinary session. The prayer and the pledge will be deemed complete. We will go to the second reading file. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Bill 20.
Members, we're in first extraordinary session. We're taking up Bill AB 20. Did everybody have the right paperwork? We are not taking up AB 20.
Thank you.
Senator Leno, I'm going to go to you. We're on the second supplemental file. First supplemental file in extraordinary session. What measure are we starting with?
SB 6.
SB 6, file item 3, members. And the Secretary will read.
Senate Bill 6 by the Committee on Budget and Fiscal Review and Act relating to Section 3.94 of the Budget Act of 2011, making appropriation therefore to take effect immediately, bill related to the budget.
Senator Leno.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, you may remember back in June when we passed our budget, there was also a revenue trigger bill, and it stated that if revenues should fall more than $1 billion from projection, that there would be $600 million of cuts triggered automatically by the Department of Finance. If revenues fell by more than $2 billion, another $1.9 billion in additional cuts would be triggered on. The way this is facilitated is as such. The wording said that if by December 15th we recognize that the revenue is not there, the following additional reductions, which amount to about $600 million, shall occur up to the amount specified. And then we had a number of different areas that would be cut up to, for example, up to $100 million to the University of California, up to $100 million to the California State Universities, up to $100 million to the Department of Developmental Services. What this bill does is requires the Department of Finance engage with the legislature to agree more than was put in the original budget bill. It requires the Director of Finance to make every effort to notify the legislature by December 9th of the specific trigger reductions that are proposed. So we're moving the reporting to the legislature up by 6 days, and it would be as proposed cuts as opposed to just notifying us that the cuts have already been made.
Senator Leno, members, can we have a little order on the floor? Conversations outside the chambers, please, if you must. And Senator Leno is presenting the bill.
So clearly, our situation is changing day to day, week to week, month to month. And this bill would suggest that we need to have a better planning for the cuts. Again, the depth of the cuts does not change. Exactly what the cuts will be, we want to be in consultation with the Department of Finance prior to the actual cutting. And that will happen. That trigger must be pulled by the original trigger bill by December 15th. This bill does not change that. Just moves up the reporting to the legislature and engages us in a dialogue 6 days earlier. I ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion, members. Senator Huff.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, we've been working on the budget all year. The budget that was adopted was a partisan majority vote budget. We didn't have a full vetting of things that probably should have been in there. And in the end, there was $10 billion of risky assumptions, which included that $4 billion of pixie dust generated revenues that have already started falling apart. But you'll recall when you set that in there, knowing that it might disappear, you set up a trigger cut mechanism so that it took away that mystery of what would happen if the revenue didn't come in. So now you have a bill that brings it up for discussion again, because I can't imagine any other purpose to have advance notice of what's going to be cut if it's not to generate opposition on you to create political pressure to go out and find another way to do it. Now, this is ugly, however you look at it. That's the nature of not having enough revenues to meet how we want to spend it. And so it should bring us to prioritize things a little bit better than we did this year, but we didn't. So this isn't just me talking. The treasurer has expressed concern that it creates some issues with our financial stability, with the market for our bonds, because it looks like we're starting to change that stability that we created by having a system of, okay, if our revenues don't make it, then we're going to have these trigger cuts. This is an incremental edging away from those trigger cuts. Make no mistake about it. And because of that, you could inadvertently be tripping into something you don't want to go there. We want to stay fiscally sound. We want to keep the financial market behind us. And when we create uncertainty, it ends up costing us more money with higher cost funding. I urge a no vote.
Further debate or discussion, members? Anything further? Senator Blakesley?
Thank you, Madam President. When that budget was passed, it was initially described as an honest budget. At the governor's last press conference, he modified that and called it a hopeful budget. Today, it's now clear that that hope is running out, that the fictitious revenues have not materialized, and that when the Senate Republican caucus walked down and stood in front of the governor's office and said, we are willing to have a special election to deal with this issue in a bipartisan way, if you will, in fact, join us to embrace the reforms that we have put in print, you can avoid these cuts and truly have an honest budget and truly have an opportunity for the people to speak. At that point, the governor's representative said that Republicans are basically moronic and too stupid to write reforms. Well, here we are. This is the result of the governor's decisions. And for us to now say that we're going to imperil the state's ability to continue financing its critical needs by creating doubt that would impede the treasurer's ability to keep the state on track, I think would be a real mistake. Poor decisions were made, I believe, at that point in refusing to work with Republicans to embrace reforms and find a way to get a question before the public. But these are the consequences of those poor decisions, and now we have to live with them. I urge a no vote.
Further debate, members. Senator Gaines.
Yes, I rise in opposition. I'd like to know what the fiscal impact is in terms of our bondability as a state. Clearly, there was a budget that we had passed, or the majority had passed in this body, that was not acceptable to the controller in the state of California. There was a negotiation process. I'm sure there were a lot of conversations on Wall Street in terms of our fiscal viability here in the state of California. That precipitated a new budget that had these trigger cuts in place. And so what I'd like to know is what is going to happen to the cost of carrying additional debt in the state of California as a result of our lack of action with an earlier agreement by the majority on these triggered cuts. I can't imagine that we wouldn't have additional interest costs that we're going to have to pay as taxpayers here in the state of California. And is Wall Street willing to do that for us in the future? I urge a no vote.
Further debate, members. Senator Emerson.
Thank you, Madam President and members. The governor says he doesn't want this. The state treasurer says this is not a good thing to do. I ask for a no vote.
Anything further, members? Anything further? Senator Leno, I believe you may close.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm just trying to pull up some information, a statement made by Standard & Poor's yesterday with regard to this bill. And just to calm everyone down, this earlier by 6 days reporting to the legislature will have absolutely no effect on our bond rating or any cost to the state. Let me repeat this. It will not impact our bond rating or increase any cost of borrowing to the state. We have not heard from the treasurer on this. Treasurer sent no one to the hearing at the Budget Committee yesterday. I have not heard from the treasurer's office. That is a moot point. S&P, I'm sorry, I can't pull it up fast enough. Need to get a different phone. stated very clearly that this bill would not impact our bond rating whatsoever. So, again, this is just so we can review the situation we may be in December, and it's all conjecture at this point. I do remain hopeful. I do believe that there's a good likelihood we still may not have to pull these triggers. We'll have our August revenue numbers in just a couple days, and we might be pleasantly surprised. So let's continue to be hopeful, but we need to be prepared as well, which is the reason we passed the revenue trigger bill back in June. And there is no risk, only benefit to allow for an extra 6 days. The triggers shall still be pulled by December 15th. That is in statute. This bill does not change that. I ask for your aye vote.
Secretary will call the roll.
Alquist, Anderson, no Berryhill, no Blakesley, Calderon, aye Canella, no Corbett, aye Correa, De Leon, DeSaulnier, aye Dutton, Emerson, no Evans, aye Dutton, no Fuller, no Gaines, no Hancock, aye Harmon, no Hernandez, aye Huff, no Kehoe,
Aye.
Aye Lamalfa, no Leno, aye Ted Lieu, Carol Lieu, aye Lowenthal, aye Negrete McLeod, Padilla, aye Pavley, aye Price, aye Rubio, aye Runner, no Smidian, Steinberg, aye Strickland, Vargas, aye Walters, no Wolk, no Wright, Wyland, no Yee, Yee aye.
Call the absent members.
Alquist, Blakesley, Correa, De Leon, Ted Lieu, aye Negrete McLeod, aye Smidian, Strickland, Wright, aye. Wright, aye.
Senator Leno moves a call. Members, environmental quality is meeting in 3191. Members of environmental quality should report to 3191 to take up 2 bills. We'll return to the floor after that for more budget items and the supplemental files. But right now we need to go into environmental quality. We'll recess briefly for those 2 items.